Good evening, and you're welcome to Business and Enterprise. I'm Colm Colgan. Tonight's guest is Benny Sheridan of Sheridan's Insurance. Benny, you're very welcome to the programme, and thank you for taking the time to drop in and chat to us.
Thank you very much, Colin.
Now, you own and run Sheridan's Insurance, but we might start off, what happened to you before you set up? Where did you get your training in insurance?
In 1979, I started off with a company called Irish Life, answered an ad in the Mead Chronicle, and worked as a representative for them right up to May 1985. So in 1985, Miriam and I set up an insurance brokerage in Slane, County Meath. We were initially agents for Allianz, Aviva, General Accident, Irish Life, and various other companies as well. So the business was established back then in June, and it's just grown over the last 28 years to what
So
it
I
is
assume
today.
you were very happy in Irish Life and got great training, and kind of you got the rewards that somebody of your calibre was getting. What was what pushed you towards setting up Sheridan's Insurance?
I suppose the trigger, looking back, we got married in 1983. Miriam was working in Dublin, and different taxation then. People may not realise it, but you didn't have to earn a lot of money to be paying 65 pence in the pound. And we felt there was no incentive to grow or develop your career within Irish Life, that the tax system back then wasn't conducive to that. And we felt by becoming self-employed, it might give us more options in terms of getting our home together, making a success of our careers, etc., you know.
And having got married the year after that myself, not only was the tax rate 65%, the interest rate was in double digits.
That's correct. Our mortgage back then, we paid 15% interest on our mortgage in 1984, 1985.
Mind you, we were paying 15% on a couple of grand, as opposed to a couple of $100,000 at the moment. But still, it was a big chunk.
It was
every month. Like again, I always remember my late brother. He used to be able to get 5 pints, a bag of chips, and the bus fare home out of £1, and he used to brag about that. But he was probably only coming out with £4 or £5, so everything was relative, you know.
That's right.
But anyway, you set up. Now you said, and we got some agencies. Is that an easy thing to do? Do you just knock on somebody's door and say, "Hi, you don't know me"? Well, actually, probably did, because of your involvement in Irish Life.
Well, it's not, because to get an agency from any insurance company, they have a procedure in place. So you make your application. If we give an agency, what level of business are we likely to get? What's the ability of this brokerage to provide us good business? How are they on things like credit control, loss ratio, retention, customer service, claims handling? So there's many aspects an insurer will look at before they grant an agency to any intermediary. And it's even more challenging now to get new agencies. Thankfully, we're in a position that we have over 40 different agencies with all the leading general and life assurers in the Irish and some in the UK market. So it's worked out good for us.
And of course, you have the agency, but you are also their representative in a certain town or a certain company. So anything you do reflects on that company. So obviously they are fairly choosy about who they pick. You were telling me one of the companies that you represent for was FBD, and of course, me being a dub not knowing much about farmer stuff, I just assumed FDB was that. But you were telling me an interesting story about how it was set up.
Yeah, FBD in insurance
First
terms.
of all, what does FBD stand for? Or does it stand for anything?
Yes, it does. FBD stands for Farm Business Development. And in the late 60s, there was an outbreak of blue tongue in the farming community.
Yeah, this is me and a dog coming out again. What's blue tongue?
Blue tongue is a disease in animals, cattle. It was predominantly in cattle, and like foot and mouth or any of these things, it affected those animals, and they weren't edible or saleable. So literally, if an animal had blue tongue, it was the knacker's yard, no money. What was the farmer going to do if his entire herd got struck down with blue tongue? And the need then was, through the IFA, can we get an insurance company to cover our farms, including blue tongue as part of the cover? and that was the seed that FBD was born out of back in the late 60s. And all the farmers had the opportunity to chip in a few pound when they got shares in the company for it, and they had 65-70% of the required capital. And they went to Europe, and there was guys in Belgium that came up with the balance, and FBD was formed and has been a great success story ever since.
I know it's actually nothing to do with insurance, but it's blue, because I've never heard of it. Is it a bit like TB in humans? It's a thing in the past, or does it occasionally crop up again?
Yeah, there's always new viruses and diseases. And at the moment, if you're talking to sheep farmers, there's a thing called Schmallenberg's disease. It's named after a town in Germany. And that virus now, for the first time ever since last autumn, it comes from a mite, a biting mite. So a lot of the sheep flock and some cattle and calves are infected with Schmallenberg's disease. So that's a new thing, and that could be an epidemic in 6 months' time or 12 months' time, who knows. But 50 years on, it was blue tongue 50 years ago, it's Schmallenberg today.
And do you still, if a sheep has that is Schallenberg, he then obviously has to be put down, I assume, and then does it have to be claimed?
Yeah, this is the challenge for the farming community, that if that virus is in an animal, how it affects, for example, sheep. If at lambing time there'll be a deformed fetus, deformed lamb, so the lamb is no use, and then the sheep isn't infected, a carrier, so the sheep has to be slaughtered as well. So if a farmer's flock is infected with Schmallenberg's virus, you have a major problem. That's their cash flow, their crop of lambs, that's their bread and butter. So the whole thing for insurers is to carry that risk for farmers, that if there's certain things hit them, be it the fire, flood, mortality on livestock, pedigree stock, horses, whatever, insurance companies take that risk on a premium.
And is your premium on animals getting sick or animals getting a disease quite expensive? Because I would imagine, and again I'm just kind of going what I read through the Anglo-Celt about animal diseases, something new appears to be happening animals in a farm every couple of months. So the risk of an animal getting sick is obviously quite high, and therefore does the premium reflect that?
Yes, the most regular stuff we would insure in the livestock field is pedigree bulls and horses. So if you're insuring a bull for mortality, Jones disease, brucellosis, TB, etc., you'd be looking at rates of maybe 6%. So if an animal is worth €5,000, you've just put out €5,000 to buy a pedigree bull, it could cost you approximately €300 to insure that animal in the event of death or whatever. So you have 5,000 investment, then becomes 5,300, but that 300 protects your 5,000 of capital.
We started talking about insurance, and then we swiftly moved on to cow diseases.
That's right.
I'm not quite sure how that happened. Probably one of my usual segues. Now, so obviously we can take from that you have a lot of farming customers. What other type of customers do you have, and what services do you offer them?
Everybody is a potential customer for an insurance broker. Two main categories, we call them personal lines customers. So people with homes, cars, commercial vehicles, private health insurance. They're our core business. So people want to get their van insured, their car insured, their home insured, their health insured. We take care of them on an impartial basis. Then you have your commercial, pubs, shops, offices, builders, general building contractors, all classes of trades. We provide the necessary liability cover, fleet cover, consequential loss, personal accident, all the things that a trader will need in the event of a loss.
Obviously, if you do building, as you said, there was kind of a good area for business a couple of years ago. Obviously, that has completely dried up. I didn't realise how much it had dried up, but apparently, last year we built 8% of the house that we built 8 years ago. I didn't realise that.
The new build market has vanished, but there's a resurgence in certain sectors. We would see a lot of retrofit stuff. builders that do general repairs and maintenance. We're dealing with a contractor yesterday. His last 4 jobs, he re-roofed a house, he re-roofed a church, he converted a bathroom in a home for a couple to a disabled bathroom. So you get a lot of that. Buildings that have no particular use. In the Dublin area we're seeing where they're fitting them out now for rooms, bedrooms, hotels, where they can get maybe 70, 80 euro a night of a return on them.
Yeah.
So that while one sector of the construction is dead, there's another section, and I think the good tradespeople, the electricians, the carpenters, the plumbers and all those guys, they're still busy because they've done good work in the past and they're being recommended.
But still forward. Your volume, like, I suppose most businesses, no matter what you've been in for the past 5-6 years, less undertaking. But apart from that, I think every other business has suffered
Well, our business, if 6 years in a row there, we've seen a decline in the volume of business transacted.
Now, have you, obviously, I was going to say, have you competition? Of course you have competition. Is there more competition in insurance now, or does it just seem that way with the amount of advertising? Like, I won't say memorable. When I say memorable, it sticks in the memory, not that they're just great ads. Well, but you take your Aviva ads with Mario Rosenstock, no nonsense with the brick and the annoying clerk. Not that you would have anyone in your staff was like that.
Yeah.
And of course, Liberty with the guy that sounds a bit like Dave Bishop.
Yes, the companies do market and advertise their product, but what we see very clearly in recent years is that the commercial customers come to brokers. 85% of all the commercial business done on this island is done through brokers. So when the building contractor is looking at his liability, his product liability, employer liability, public liability, excesses, height limits, depth limits, warranties, exclusions, hot work, all that type of stuff, he's going to come to a broker who has the experience in that area. And in most brokerages, you find that the broker will maybe champion in 1 or 2 areas. For example, it could be health insurance and home insurance. Another broker does professional indemnity and liability. That it's like medicine, there's GPs, but then you get consultants or specialists. And our business has developed on that line in recent years, that everyone's in the one room. So something comes in, professional indemnity for a reflexologist. Well, we know that'll go down the corner to Brian. A health insurance scheme for private health insurance. So
you were telling me earlier you have a staff of 14. Now, I won't say would they each be specialists in different areas, but you would have specialist people who would have specialise in certain areas.
Yes, and there's a need to do that, because while all the direct companies may advertise their product, if you're a broker, the cornerstone of your business is impartiality. So 1, 2, 3, FBD, Liberty, whatever, they may have very good product, but it's our job to look at the terms and conditions in that, and based on the facts, the terms of cover is that have an opinion on that. So we, for example, in home insurance, we have an Excel matrix. So we'd have all the companies up there under 63 or 4 different headings. Freezer cover, frost cover, burst pipes, fallen trees, escape of aisle, contents in the open, policy excess, loss of aisle, under all the different things, fire, flood, etc., and exclusions. So when we'd look down that column very quickly, comparing it to the company in the next column, we'd establish a view. You know, I wouldn't insure my home there because I don't like that, there's no frost cover. Gosh, the policy excess is very high, or whatever. And that's really what a broker does. A broker's job is look at the market and give customers recommendations.
And I suppose, as opposed to if we seems it's still open, if you rang up Liberty to say, hello, I want my car insured, it's valued X, Y, Z, to give you a price, and you could be talking to them on the phone for 5 minutes. Obviously, if you're dealing with a broker, yourself or any of your staff would actually find out exactly what we're looking for
Yeah.
Needless to say, the first thing we're going to say is, well, we want the cheapest price. But you then have to tease out, am I right, in saying, well,
That's right.
what's important to you? What about excess? What about...
I think the first job a broker has to do is listen. And so if you come into our office and you're talking about a particular product, we have to sit and talk to you, ask the right questions, that we understand your needs and what's suitable for you. So if Colm comes into Sheridan Insurances in Cavan and you're looking to insure a commercial vehicle, do you tow a trailer? Do you have your tools of trade in the van? Is there an alarm on the van? Do you, where's your main place of work? Is it Dublin? Is it Cavan? These all affect the rating or the needs. Do you want open driving? Do you want driving of other vans? That really establishes, well, what company, what's your claims history, which is a key factor. Your no claims bonus, any penalty points on the licence. So we would know straight away.
What percentage of your customers have penalty points?
What percentage? I would say on the motor business, 35%, broad brush.
35, so 1 in 3 drivers. I assume you would be pretty much average of anywhere else, but in a nutshell, 1 in 3 people have,
absolutely,
have penalty points.
Well, I know I've got 4 penalty points, and my wife has got 2 penalty points, so I could run round the office very quickly.
No, I haven't got one, and I must do about 40 to 50,000 a year.
Good for you, well done.
Yes, because now there's a guard outside. Ready
we
to
can
take
organise a fix on that for you, Colm.
a complimentary penalty point for every licence.
Yeah.
Do they affect your insurance rate?
Yes, they do.
Not from day one, but from 1 or 2. Sorry, from 2 points, or is there a threshold before it kicks in?
There's thresholds, but more importantly, the thing of some companies in the small print, if you, let's say, had 2 points and they weren't disclosed on your application form, and in the event of a claim, let's say the normal policy excess €250, one of the leading companies in the market for non-disclosure penalty points, their excess will go to 2,500.
Wow.
For non-disclosure penalty points. So people talk about discounts and price. Penalty points.
Is that legal?
Yes.
No.
They have it in their terms and conditions, and personally now...
Is that what you're saying? Read the terms and conditions. You're talking to a fellow who doesn't even read terms and conditions on the internet. He just immediately
Well, I think the key thing we'd say to all customers, when you're doing any type of insurance, establish the facts. It doesn't matter if you have conviction on your licence or 8 penalty points. We can sort you with a company that will give you a competitive rate based on the information is right. So who's going to be driving the car? Because what you find with the companies, the insurers, when a claim happens, they look at the information and the claims department will say, well, can we get off paying this claim? Oh yeah, he didn't tell us this and he didn't tell us that or the other. So they decline the claim. We don't want to see any customers even getting into that type of situation where at the time of a loss, when they need it sorted, that due to something minor, when the policy was done initially, a claim being declined.
On motor insurance, third-party fire and theft versus comprehensive.
Yeah.
Particularly on older cars. Okay, if you've got a brand spanking new car, but if you have a... And I remember my first car was a 4-year-old car and it was in bits. Now you can have a 10-year-old car and it can be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, so people have older cars now, but they may not be worth much. Is it worth their while getting into comprehensive?
No, if you drive a car that's, we'll say, worth €750 and it's going to be good for another 5 or 10 years, third-party fire and theft is adequate on it. Because you wouldn't make a claim. If it's worth $750 and a $250 excess, it wouldn't be worth losing your bonus. So you wouldn't even go with the comprehensive option.
Yeah.
Now there is things that people might like and they might upgrade to comprehensive. They might want driving of other cars or their personal belongings insured while left in the vehicle, towing a trailer, windscreen breakage, breakdown assistance. So depending again on the situation, if we felt these things were, particularly the lady drivers, like to have breakdown assistance. They don't like, and most men as well. So for that reason, we'd be saying, do you need comprehensive? Not because my car's worth $750, but for the benefits that come with it. Because if you're stranded on the side of the N3 at 10 o'clock of winter's night, you have your mobile, you can ring a guy, and in a half an hour a lad will pull in behind you, sort you out, get you home. If he needs to bring you in the car, he'll bring you in, and if he can get you away, he gets you away. Great service.
You mentioned one thing there that just prompted something in my head there. Women like their breakdown insurance. Lately, was this last month, there was the European Directive on women's insurance.
That's right.
How did that affect policies?
Well, that's known as the Gender Directive, and it became effective on Friday the 21st of December 2012. That came from a court case in Belgium where there was a case taken for gender discrimination, and it, obviously coming in from the Europe, we all have to do this equalisation now. So the lady drivers in the 18 to 25 bracket are paying more, and the male drivers are paying less. So that's a win for the boys and a loss for the ladies.
But yet, I assume when you're doing your insurance calculations, there's risk factor. You mentioned living or working in Dublin. Just poor old Dublin to get it in every angle.
That's right.
There's certain professions, and statistically, women are safer drivers. There's
Absolutely.
no two ways about that. How come that isn't a factor? Like, why aren't disc jockeys been saying, well, hold on a second here, we're being discriminated against, you know?
Yeah. Well, you see, I think the issue here was male and female, that there was discrimination between the two sexes. Now, rating based on occupation is a different kettle of fish. If I'm a taxi driver and I carry people and charge them a fee for that service, I have a different risk to you being a secretary and driving 10 mile in and out of your work every day. It's so the occupation is key.
Yeah. Whereas
the gender, the male female thing is a total different ball game.
Now, we were asking you there why use a broker, why not go direct, and you said it's all about service and looking after your customers.
Right.
Now, you're looking after your customers next Tuesday by putting together a seminar in the Colm Hotel. You might just tell us just a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Communication in the last couple of years.
Kilmore, I pronounced it.
No
I
problem.
put an old Dublin accent on it. Sorry about that.
Hotel Kilmore. We all know Kilmore or Kilmore. We know where it is. Communication with customers. I feel that we need to get out there. Businesses need to get out there and meet their customers, help them in any way they can, and we feel the seminar is going to do that on two fronts. We have a motivational speaker. We feel Sean Gallagher fits the bill very well, talking on innovation and the need, I think, for all companies, all families to innovate, look at new ideas, add value. So that's I suppose the headline speaker there. And we have Alan Kavanagh, he's a manager in Aviva Health, coming to talk on the wellness, health insurance market, the challenges it faces. And I think the people that's going to change the challenges in the health market is the people on the ground.
And who's it directed at? Who's it directed at?
It's directed at the SME sector, small, medium enterprises, the family farm, the transport business, the haulage contractor, the family-run hotel, the manufacturing sector, where there's a group of people in a business, and things like their health, what's available to them from a group perspective, what discounts can they get, what's going to add value, annual health screening, health checks, if they have a problem, where do they go, nurse on call, various things like that. Health, if you're a millionaire if you have your health. And I think that's one of the things people out of the Celtic Tiger era realise, that well-being has tremendous value for people in the workplace. If a workforce is happy, if they're healthy, if their well-being is in the right spot, they can do the job and serve their customers or create their trade or whatever it may be, you know.
And is it a ticket event? Do you just turn up on the day? Do you book?
Yeah, well, thankfully, our target was to have 80 people attend the seminar. We've 34 registered for the event at this stage, so we've still 46 spaces available. And I think the momentum is building now that we'll have a full house come next Tuesday.
And how do people get tickets? Or
all you have to
do you just turn up on the day, or do you have to ring
very simply, what we'd like to do, because there's a healthy option breakfast available in the morning as well. And
healthy. I don't like the sound of a healthy option breakfast. I can't see any greasy rashers or sausages, which is a proper breakfast now.
Well, one of the good things about that, we've got great support from local businesses. Round the corner from us, Fresh Today, all the fresh fruit and veg. Peter Sheridan up there is sponsoring a hamper. We've got Nutri Snacks out at Poles. O'Donoghue's Food Fair have given us vouchers, so we've 3 beautiful hampers that's going to be raffled on the morning of the seminar, and the contents of all those hampers are locally produced, locally sourced, locally provided, local jobs. So Healthy Options is in Cavan and available to everyone in the region. So we're
when is it on?
Next Tuesday morning, Tuesday the 5th of March, 7:45 a.m, 9:30 a.m. finish. So we teas, coffees on arrival, kick off at 8 a.m. Speaker number 1 Alan, speaker number 2 Sean.
So you have to listen to the health insurance before you get to hear what Sean has to say.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much for calling into the programme and telling us about A, your business, B, insurance, and C, what sounds like a very interesting event next Tuesday. So I'd like to thank my guest, Benny Sheridan of Sheridan's Insurance, and I'm sure everybody will be welcome on the day in the Kilmore Hotel next Tuesday. So until we meet again next week, I've been Colm Colgan. You've been watching Business and Enterprise. Good night and safe home. Bye bye.